Hi guys, my name is Trevor Owsley and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about how do we know when we are in a higher self. I have many people that ask me this question and it's a real good question. So I'm going to try to explain in the best way that I can. And remember, this is just my version of how I understand what it means to be in the higher self. So let's begin with, how does it feel not to be in the higher self? Now this for me, we can sum it up. Something just doesn't feel right. So within this feeling of something just doesn't feel right, you can develop depression, you can go through anxiety, your mind becomes messed up. Your body just doesn't feel right. To me, that is a great indication that you are not in your higher self. Now, there are many varying degrees of what it means to be in the higher self. You can look at love, you can look at passion, you can look at the things that you said that you wanted to achieve within your life, but you haven't done it. You haven't fulfilled that mission within yourself. Then you've got your higher self that can let you know, are you a messenger? Are you psychic, medium, clairvoyant? Do you have special gifts, special talents? Maybe you healed yourself from an illness that was incurable. This is what makes you the teacher. To understand what the higher self is a level of communication one speaks with themselves. Think about, let's use the word human, because we're all been told that we're human beings, but as you know with my channel, I'm here to explain that on this side of the channel is your higher self. Now your higher self is always going to be explaining to you what your human self is all about. For me, the higher self has always been the intelligence, and that's the intelligence that you need to connect with. Now stop for a moment. In your human self, check out how you think. Now this is very important. Now I'll say to you, what stands before me is an experience. So when I see you, or when you come through to me and have a reading with me on the Skype, the first thing we talk about is you are just an experience. So that means you are nowhere near your higher self. You are being your human self. But when we talk about the be me being, you are still not being the be me being. So I'm going to try to explain in a short video as much as I possibly can. Human self, higher self, in between becomes the be me being. The be me being knows the human self. The be me being knows the higher self. Its higher purpose, its mission, if you like. For me, in the beginning, I looked at myself as being just a man. A hairdresser, makeup artist and photographer, as you all know. But then something went wrong. Something just didn't feel right. I'd lost what I thought at that particular time was my meaning and purpose to life. But then on this side, the higher self comes in, kind of taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, have you forgotten why you're there on the planet? Have you forgotten what you was meant to be doing? I believe there are many people that are going through this, what we call the awakening. Now the awakening is definitely the process to moving towards your higher self. I know a lot of you are in fear. Fear of who will I become? What is this higher self trying to tell me? As I've said in previous videos, the higher self is there to guide you, to teach you, to awaken you into being the best be me being that you can be. I call it the be me baby. Body, mind, energy, being a better you. For me, it's nice and it's simple and it works. So, question this. Who are you having an argument with within your own mind? Who are you talking with? And who is this mind of yours trying to kill you off? trying to tell you that you're no good, that you'll never amount to anything, that you didn't fulfill your dreams, your wishes, your goals. Maybe you never found love. So, being a human being, it comes with a lot of problems. Think about it. Do this as an essay. Write down on a piece of paper, what does it mean to be a human being? Take it right back to when you was a kid, of how you was born, what you went through with your parents, then you went to school, done all the schooling, left school, got a girlfriend, boyfriend, found yourself a job, found yourself a place to live, maybe you got married, then you had children, then you had grandchildren. Did I leave much out? That's the process of life. There it is, from beginning to end. That's all we have. But is it good enough? So what does it feel like to be in the higher self? On a higher level, I can tell you, it is an amazing feeling with no feeling. It is a feeling of feeling full, but feeling empty. It's a neutralization. To be in the higher self, it has no more thoughts or questions about who it is, what is it doing, and what is it achieving. Ultimately, is it about love? We've heard all of these gurus, from the Dalai Lama right through to Sadhguru, speak about love. But to me, love is a human word, and it comes with conditions. To me, as a beamy being tries to understand its own naturalness. So how about if I said to you that the higher self is a feeling of naturalness? Look back in your journey. When did you last feel natural? Now here's the interesting thing. When I said to you about what stands before me is an experience. That means from the moment that you was born, you had half of your father, half of your mother inside of you. Then you had your parents' teachings, the experiences that they were going through. You, being a recorder, took all of that stuff in. So that meant if you came from a very argumentative family, then what have you become in your experience? Imagine this. Two bad robots create a robot. Why do two bad robots expect an angelic robot? It doesn't work. It's an impossible task. And how stupid to believe that two bad robots will create an angelic robot. So, being you is an experience. Now we have to question, do you love the experience that you have become? Do you hear yourself being like your mother? Have your attitudes or your personality like your father? So when you go back into your journey, have a look. Now, I always represent the past to the left. Here is in the now, and to the right of me is my future. So I need to undo my past to understand who I am in this experience, to then determine what my future is going to be like. What is the future going to consist of? Is it about doing? No. It's about being. You are here to change the way you feel within your being. Now, your parents and your experiences have built you to who you are. Do you like it? Does it feel right? And of course, no, it doesn't. But when you look at it and you try to break it all down, they're all the conditions of being a human. A beamy being comes in and starts to analyze what part of me is like my father, what part of me is like my mother. Put the two together, forms an experience. I become that experience. And this is why you will look at your parents and really not like them. There's something about your parents that you feel that you got denied in love. Maybe you felt abandoned. Maybe your father was narcissistic to your mother, and so therefore this is how you've grown up. And that will also determine the relationships that you have chosen. you will end up with a narcissistic being, a marriage. Now here's the interesting thing, talking about narcissism. I spoke to a person that had been in a narcissistic marriage for 13 years. She came out of that marriage and found herself free. But here's the interesting thing. She had these ideas or notions that she wanted to go back. So I spoke with her and tried to get her to understand that when somebody has been in prison for such a long time, when they come out and regain their freedom, they have two choices. One, start a new life. Or two, commit another crime and end up in the very place that you just escaped from or found freedom from. Now here's the other thing that goes on. This is how your experience builds who you are. And that's why I always say, find out who you are not, and then you'll understand the higher self of understanding who you can become. So healing becomes a process of elimination. But this woman was now finding herself on her own. So she hasn't got this narcissistic husband telling her what to do, how to do it, controlling every part of her. May have been resemblances there from her upbringing from the family called her father. And if she is used to that type of being, then so naturally she would feel like that the marriage was going to work. Now here's the interesting thing. As I was listening to this woman speaking to me, I could hear the way that she was treating herself. She was putting herself down. She was giving herself a hard time. She was making herself believe that she isn't worth anything and that she cannot cope in the outside world. I said, stop. You've come from a narcissistic background. Your father was narcissistic. You married a narcissistic being. And I said, here is one question I would love to ask you. Why are you being narcissistic to yourself? And in that moment, she had that aha moment. And that oh my God moment. And she said to me, Trevor, you're so right. She said, I'm treating myself like I have been treated throughout all of my life. To me, that's a bingo moment. That's a lotto winning number. How do you know when the truth comes? And this is what I love when I do meetings with people on Skype, because I love to see their faces as that moment comes when they get it. That's the higher self kicking in. That's the higher self right there that lets you know that you have just understood something about your life, your experience. Don't forget, in the Beamy philosophy, you have body, mind, and experience. What is the most important word? It is the experience. We've come here to experience. But in that experience of being a human being, you know, and as well as I know, there is something in that that feels unnatural. Sit with that for a moment. Find out within your own energy, do I feel natural or do I feel unnatural? So to understand the higher self of intelligence and to understand how does a beamy being feel, it feels natural. And that's the higher self. Naturalness is going to be your key. Healing, as I said, is all about emptying out your father's program, emptying out your mother's program, and then distinguishing who you are. That is Beamy. When people come through to me and we have a good old chat, I take them back into the past. And I say to them, relax, chill out. I want you to go back into the past and I want you to think of an age that you feel was the moment you lost yourself. 9 times out of 10. Try it for yourself at the moment. Have you got the age of where you can see yourself? Where you may have lost yourself? Or that moment when something didn't feel right? Can we say around about 6 or 7? Does that work for you? Because from the ages between 0 to 6, you would have been in your higher self. Why? Because you would have been very natural. None of the programming would have gone in from your mother or your father. You would have been a natural born child. The age of 6 or 7, maybe you got told off. Maybe your father hit you. Maybe you started to understand that your mother and father were having arguments all the time. And so therefore, that was the first moment when you experienced fear. How many of you used to go to bed and hear your mother and father arguing, fighting? I've been in that place. Not a great place. Going to bed as a child in fear is awful. And it's so stupid as well, because the parents are thinking that we're asleep. They think we're just children. They think that we don't understand. Come on. We all understood. We just didn't know what to do about it. And so therefore, we got infected. As you go through life, everything in the human way will infect you. It will infect your very being of understanding what is the higher self. Remember, the higher self is a form of naturalness. To me, that is love. When you can naturally be, when you can naturally think, and you can naturally speak, then you know when you're being in your higher self. Why? Because there's no fear. When you listen to parents arguing all the time, installed in you is fear. And what is the very thing that stops you from becoming? It's communication. So the gift of being, the real message to everyone out there is, what are we missing as a race of human beings? It's communication. Think about it. Who is actually communicating with someone on a good level? 2 countries can't even communicate. Man and wife cannot properly communicate. Children cannot communicate with their parents. Why? Because we don't know how to. We've lost the art of communication. The Be Me Being brings this together. It is very much aware of the society, the programming of being a human. And it's also very much aware about the spirituality that we seek. Let's take it to the Dalai Lama. Let's take it to Buddhism. What does Buddhism teach you? It teaches you the art of compassion, the art of understanding the mind, to become at peace within oneself, to find that love within yourself, to treat yourself with love and respect. Kind of sums up Buddhism to a little bit. The Dalai Lama will always talk about love and compassion, and he will always talk about that war really is no good for the planet. A Be Me being knows that that isn't actually what I would call spirituality. What I would call that is naturalness. Dalai Lama and Buddhism teaches you a form of being natural. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? So what I want you to do is to write down on a piece of paper. Write down what feels unnatural to you. And guaranteed, human will come up as everything. Plus, we hear a lot of people talking about ego. What I want you to do is take away the word ego, so we resolve the word ego, and we replace it with the word human. Ego is only a splinter of what's really going on in the human world. So everything that's going on within you, I want you to look at it as a human value, not as an ego value. That's a personality, yes, That's a trait, yes. It's an attitude, yes. But it's still all human. Ask yourself, has human being totally moved you off track? The answer to that is yes. So the Be Me being understands both. It understands everything on the material world. It knows the process of life and death. It knows the process of spirituality. It understands the religions. It understands the higher self. It understands the level of consciousness, the level of listening, and most importantly, the levels of feeling. Most of you don't feel right. So what are we seeking for? We're seeking to feel right. But in that not feeling right, there is a certain level of uncertainty and insecurity. And how many of you want to be a messenger? You've got a message to the world, but you feel blocked. This is the doorway. This is the block, and it's called human. Because your higher self is knocking on your door, but it can't come in. When you come through to me and we have a chat, we resolve this door. We find out where are the blocks. And so therefore, if we can reduce the blocks, then the higher self reveals itself. If we can reveal the blocks of what you've been shown and what you have been taught from the parents that you grew up with and the relationships that you have endured, if we can resolve this, we can reveal the higher self. The higher self is always there, but it is blocked by the human ways, the human conditioning, and the human programming of pain and confusion. You have three things: body, mind, and energy. When your mind is being too much, you lose energy. When you're losing energy, the body takes the effect and feels unwell. Makes sense. Everything runs on energy. And everything has been given an identity. So, to discover your naturalness, take away all the identities. I stripped away being a human being. I stripped away that identity because that identity was making me ill, confused, upset, and very angry. And most importantly, the word human being gave me no meaning and purpose to my life. Be Meism is my real religion. R-E-A-L-I-G-I-O-N. My real religion. It's me that I need to pray to. It's me that I need to seek my answers from. We hear many people say, ask for the light. Ask for God to come and show you the way. Show me which way I need to go. Please answer my questions. But resolve this human being. The higher self comes in so naturally, and it becomes the answer to your questions. Think about it again. Is human being the wrong word for you? Because if it is, we can sort this out in minutes. As soon as we can hold our hands up and say, do you know what? Human being serves me no purpose. I don't understand what it means to be a human being. And if on your travels and in your seeking and your searching for understanding of spirituality, meditation, crystals, retreats, understanding the chakras, understanding the kundalini, great words, the chakras, very fancy, another label. Kundalini, another great word, but do we understand it? The Be Me makes it so simple. Meaning and purpose to life. It's just about being me. But the question I pose to you is, how do you want to be? Because that's the Be Me. Not about what you want to do. You've done everything from the past of what you thought was the right thing to do. Now you're in this place. Now you're in this darkness. So your higher self has actually got your attention. But you are fighting it, you are battling it. And you're trying to understand, how comes I have lost myself? How comes I do not feel right? I feel unnatural. That's where you need to find your answers. It's all within. And the shortcut is resolve being a human being. Resolve this. And your higher be me self will reveal itself to you. And remember, to feel the higher self is a naturalness. It is a beautiful feeling. But I won't give you too much, otherwise you're going to have expectation of what this means. But through my higher self, little did I know that I was going to be the man that was going to come to the planet and tell the world that the word human being had served its day. And so therefore, I present to you the Be Me being. And the Be Me being has so much more to offer. The Be Me being understands its body, its mind, its emotions, its ego self. And most importantly, starts to look at its experience. I'm here to have an experience. But let's look at identity. Let's look at a flower. It's called a flower. How many flowers are there? 1,000? So let's look at the rose. Let's look at the daffodil. That's a rose, that's a daffodil. Some like the rose, some like the daffodil. Some like both, some like neither. But in its naturalness, do you not think calling it a rose or a daffodil is an insult to the Creator? To me, it is. Because the rose is a Be Me. The daffodil is also a Be Me. So to look at a rose, take away its identity, what are you looking at now? You are looking at pure creation, pure beauty. To fall in love with what you are looking at is the key to naturalness. Separation from identity has caused us to question. The Be Me in me looked at all of them questions, looked at every one of them identities, and none of them felt right. So the Be Me being came in, the higher self Be Me, no identity, remember? It just is. It just understands, and it sees, and it observes, and it thinks, and it feels in a completely different way, in a healed way. It represents itself no different from the rose. The rose is observing me, I'm observing the rose. If you can achieve that, just in its simple form, then you will see the beauty that stands before you. And then if you can reduce the many identities that you have given yourself, then the higher self, Be Me, shows itself to you, and it has no identity. The Be Me self is not here to destroy itself anymore. The Be Me identity just observes. It doesn't judge. It just feels, and it just understands, and it is pleased with who it is. To be natural in oneself is your seeking. To search for this, you may call it spirituality. I offer you Be Me. You're searching for your true self. You're trying to find the true self. And most importantly, you want to feel the true self. I offer that. So if you'd like to come through and have a chat with me, you can find me on Trevor Owsley Teaching Be Meism, and then I will send you all the details to make that happen. I ask for a donation just so that I can produce and keep everything going, because to me, there is nothing more important than being in my higher self, which means to be able to change what is happening on the planet. And if I can do that, one being at a time, then who knows? How many beamy beings will there be by the time I leave this planet? So if you'd like to join me in the quest to become a true beamy being, to love and to understand who you are so naturally, then isn't that a cause worth fighting for? I believe so. So if you want to join me, let's make the whole of the nation become beamy beings, and let's get rid of this word of human, because it serves us no purpose whatsoever. So, I will see you soon. And here's my mantra. I see you be you. Now the question comes, do you see you be you? See you soon. Hi guys, my name is Trevor Owsley, teaching that there is another way through the dark night of the soul. I'm here today to introduce to you a Skype meeting, a consultation with me for 1 hour live, so that you can speak to me about your problem and your situation. Now, if you do fancy a Skype meeting with me, then go onto my Facebook page, which is Trevor Owsley, Teaching Beamism, drop me a message, and I will get back to you with the details of how you can speak with me and explain what is going on within your journey. Because one of the things that I've discovered is there's nothing greater than finding someone that knows where you're at. This is one of the things that I always wanted to find, was somebody that knew me, somebody that could explain what on earth am I going through. I've had a lot of emails wanting to speak to me, so I'm opening the doors for you, to give you the chance to be able to come through and share with me your journey, so that I can share with you the information that saved my life, basically. And I want to give this to you, because once you get this information and you work with this information, then who knows? Maybe you will meet somebody else that is going through the dark night of the soul, or is going through depression and anxiety, or feels completely lost in life. I want to share with you this information so that you can then pass it on to somebody that may need it. This is where we're at. This is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. So as I said, drop me a line on Facebook, Trevor Owsley, Teaching Beamism. Send me a mail and I will give you all the instructions and the directions, and we can make a date and have a chat for 1 hour. Speak to you then.